There's something that happens near the end of life that many people don't talk about. A moment or a short period of time where everything seems to turn, energy returns, clarity comes back, and for a brief window, it can feel like the person you love is coming back to you. If you don't know what it is, it can feel like hope. This is Reframing Life, stories of love, loss, and what it means to be human. I'm Kent. In this series, My Soulmate Named Adel, I'm sharing the true story of how we found each other, what it meant to love like that, and what it means to keep living after she's gone. In the last episode, we had settled into the hospital. Radiation treatments had begun, and somewhere along the way, Adele and I both came to understand, without saying it out loud, where things were heading. What we didn't fully understand yet was that we were about to experience something unexpected, a final surge of energy, a rally. By the middle of that first week, the changes in Adele's energy were becoming more noticeable. Each day seemed to take more from her than the one before. By Wednesday, it was clear that she was tiring more quickly, and she wasn't recovering the way she had even a few days before. But at the same time, something else was happening. Her spirit was still incredibly strong. If anything, it felt like it was becoming more focused, more inward. We had always been very connected, often communicating without needing words. And during this time, that connection deepened even further. There were things we both understood without saying them. Wednesday evening, after the last of the close family visits had ended, we found ourselves alone again. And for the first time since arriving at the hospital, we spoke more openly about what we were feeling. Not in dramatic terms, not with finality, but with honesty. We talked about how difficult it was to balance everything, to be present with people we love, while also trying to protect them from what we both knew was coming. Adele didn't want the time she had left with the family to be clouded by sadness. She didn't want people looking at her with that awareness, that sense of loss already setting in. She wanted those moments to feel as normal as possible, as full as possible. That was very much who she was. Even now, she was thinking about everyone else. By Friday morning, the change in Adele's energy was undeniable. We had settled into what had become our hospital routine. Breakfast would come, we would get ready, and we'd prepare for another trip to the cancer center for radiation. Adele was going to have the weekend off after that, and we were hoping those 2 days might give her a chance to rest and recover some strength. But that morning, as I helped her sit up and prepare to walk to the washroom, everything felt different. I stood in front of her, my hands near her hips, guiding her just enough so she'd be safe. She lifted herself from the bed, but almost immediately sat back down. Her head, shoulders, and body slumped forward. And then she whispered, "I don't have much time left." I was still leaning over her, still holding her, and I whispered back, "I know." We had spent so much of our relationship communicating without words. But those words, those ones were different. They stung because they didn't reveal something new. They confirmed what we both already knew. And it's the person you love more than life itself says those words to you. You never see time the same way again. By Saturday, something changed again. Adele seemed to come back. Her energy lifted in a way we hadn't seen since arriving at the hospital. She was more alert, more engaged, more present than she had been in days. When I walked into the room, I could feel it immediately. She was lit up. People who visited felt it too. It was as though the room had shifted, like something had returned. And for many, it felt like hope, like maybe she was turning a corner. But I had seen this before. Her sister had experienced something similar near the end of her own battle with cancer. A rally, a surge of energy that comes just before the body begins to let go. So while others saw recovery, I understood something different. And I did my best quietly to encourage those closest to her to use that time well, to be present, to say what they needed to say, without taking away from what Adele wanted in those moments. She didn't want people to see the end coming. She wanted them to experience the moment she was in. Later that night, when we were finally alone again, we talked in a way we had never before. Not about a specific events or plans, but about life beyond this moment. Adele didn't give me a list of instructions. She didn't need to. She simply wanted me to live, to continue fully, to not stop because she was no longer there. There was a lightness to some of it too. Her comment that she didn't want another woman driving her sports car, half serious, half joking, but underneath it was something much deeper. She was preparing me in the only way she knew how. Sunday evening, after everything had quietened down again, I found myself sitting beside Adele alone. And for the first time in my life, I had a conversation with something I couldn't see. I wasn't religious, but in that moment, I spoke anyway to God, the universe, anything that might be listening, and I made a simple request. Take me instead. I didn't say it out of desperation. I said it because I truly believed. Adele was a better person than I was. The world would be a better place with her in it. But there was no response. And in that silence, I understood that this was something I couldn't change. Monday morning came. We prepared for another trip to the cancer center. But things were different. Adele's responsiveness was limited. Her nurses and I discussed whether she could even make the trip. In the end, we decided to try, with a nurse accompanying her. When we arrived, the doctor quickly assessed her condition. She wasn't responsive enough for treatment. He asked me to step aside and began to explain, but I already knew what he was going to say. There was nothing left to do. I thanked him, and we prepared to return to the hospital. Before we left, one of the staff members approached me. She told me how much the team adored Adele, how they had never seen someone with such a strong presence at this stage. She said her spirit was remarkable, and that didn't surprise me. It had always been that way. Shortly after 11 that morning, I said goodbye to Adele. And then I made the calls no one ever wants to make. Some moments in life don't feel real, even as they're happening. They exist outside of everything you thought you understood about the world. But what I came to understand in those final days was that love doesn't end in those moments. It doesn't disappear. It simply changes form, and somehow it stays with you.